This is Inside Fitness Radio presents Total Fitness Podcast. My name is Matthew.
I'm Walter.
And we're back on to the Liver King topic. Today we're talking about what could be the exposure of who this coach may have been, who actually leaked the emails. But we also have something a little bit more interesting where we think Liver King might actually be playing a little bit of chess here. A little bit of a chess match. But we'll get into the topic of who this coach might be. Again, we are not making any claims here. This is just what has been going around. And if you guys haven't heard it yet, this is just the claims that are being made. And here we go. So this was a Reddit post that was made a couple of hours ago, and it is talking about a gentleman named Vigorous Steve on Instagram and YouTube and all that. And it's talking about how he is or was Liver King's steroid coach. Now, for those who don't know, Vigorous Steve is one of those content creators in the PED realm. He has worked with More Plates, More Day. He's worked with Derek in the past. They've been on podcasts together. And so it does make sense that this gentleman could actually be based on three main points, which were brought up in this Reddit post. The first being
evidence.
Exactly. The first being in this video, 12 hours behind is mentioned. So Liver King was talking about, I know you're 12 hours behind. Let me know if A, B, or C times works for you. At this point, Steve had already been living in Thailand, so that would put him in that time zone. The second point, Liver King wrote to him, I hope your MRI went well. Steve actually had a recent video on the time or around that time, July 19, 2021, that detailed his MRI about his heart enlargement, and he made a video about it and all that sort of stuff. The last point is, again, Derek and Steve operate within the same sphere of PED content creators. They were on BioBros podcast many times together. They have worked within the same realm of content creation. They've quoted each other multiple times before. And it does appear that Derek was the first choice. And then once Derek didn't answer, Liver King went to Steve. That is the allegation right now. Nothing has been confirmed. We are just bringing you this news based on what we're seeing here. What we want to talk about is how we think this is all bullshit. And we think Brian Johnson, aka Liver King, is actually possibly a genius.
Well, come on, let's face it. The man is a genius. He's been a marketing genius all along. I don't doubt that he does and lives by the things that he sells, essentially, except for steroid use. He's built up an incredible business. He speaks very well. He knows his stuff. He's not just a dumb jock using steroids, getting big, and not being able to speak to his people. So I think he is brilliant in that respect. Therefore, this could be another business ploy.
I do agree. Like, the guy is a marketing genius. He was able to go from 0 followers basically to blowing up his accounts. What is he at now? Like, I'm sure he's actually more than what he was before these allegations came out, which was like 1.7 million. So I'm sure he's probably past like 2 million now. The guy is a genius. I mean, I didn't follow him before. I would always see him pop up on my Instagram, my TikTok, my YouTube, because again, he knew how to market himself well. So it reached the audience of who he was technically trying to attract, which was people in the fitness space. I never followed the guy, but I knew almost everything about him based on his marketing tactics. When this steroid allegation came out, I still don't follow him, but I have been going to his YouTube, I have been going to his Instagram, and I have been going to his TikTok every single day, multiple times a day, because I want to see if he's addressed it. And I'm like, every view he gets, every click he gets, every new follower, subscriber, whatever, that's money in his pocket. Like, what is this guy actually trying to do something? Because you think about it, why would a coach leak this stuff? You have to remember, and this is why people think it's Vigorous Steve. Steve and Derek are friends. But why would Steve leak this stuff to Derek and then Derek would release this stuff to the world? Derek's video already has like 2.2 million views or something like that after 2 days. This is our highest viewed video that we've ever released. Everybody that has been posting about Liver King has exploded in views because it's one of the things in the fitness industry that's like, oh, this is something we can grab onto. And this is really entertaining to watch this gentleman's, life burn, I guess. I don't know.
We loved watching OJ's trial.
Yeah.
Well, we did. You were too young. But, I mean, the public likes to watch the downfall of someone that they're holding in a high place. Now, personally, he was too fringy for me to hold in a high place.
Yeah.
And if it worked for him, if it works, great. But it's not a diet style, which I would ever try to sell to anyone. But it was interesting to know he was out there and to watch occasionally what he was doing. But everybody wants to see somebody fall off the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's just giving us some show.
Yeah. And again, who knows what else he's trying to do with this, right? I mean, part of me is like, no, he effed up and this is all on him. Like, this is his downfall. The reason I don't necessarily think that is because it was going to come out at some point. For him to just come out and do it himself, I think people would have respected him more, but it would have really kind of hit his brand in a worse way and not necessarily in a more glorious way as how it's gone down so far. Whereas the way it has gone down, it is a little glorious. It's exploded. And
it's fireworks all over the place.
Yeah, and he can still come out and make his statement, and some people will forgive him and some won't. And I think at some point, when you are this type of person where you are so high up and you're watched constantly and you are dealing with these things, there's only so many times, like how many people believe all these guys who claim natty that obviously aren't. Like it gets to a point where it's just like, we don't care about you anymore because you're just so full of it. That's why like these other guys like Noel Dizel or Larry Wheels, or they all admit their steroid use. And it's like, okay, we actually have garnered some respect for you. Go back to making the BS content that you were making before. We don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I think the way he's doing it is still going to leave him with followers, is still going to leave him with people, because the guy is still who he is. The Liver King is the Liver King. I hate to admit that, but the guy actually does, aside from like, yes, his protein powder and dextrose and all that, the guy lives the life he claims to live. Like he's crazy. He's got a crazy schedule.
Yeah.
He follows his tenets.
Oh my God. I can't believe I'm going to say this. He is to meat eaters, to carnivores, what Wim Hof is to the cold therapy people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just as crazy. And Wim comes across crazy, but his message is good.
Yeah.
So it's his.
And you mentioned it already. It's too fringe for certain people, but the people that really respect it are the ones who are going to. I had somebody tell me yesterday, I was talking to somebody and they were like, well, he does $12,000 worth of HGH. Maybe I should. If Liver King does it, maybe I should start jumping on that. And look at the way he's built his business and he's built his body, and to me, it's, I couldn't care less. I knew the guy wasn't natural. I didn't like the fact that he would constantly admit. I did like the fact that he did talk about living a better lifestyle. And
everything else on his website speaks well. It tells people how to achieve a better life. I don't necessarily agree with the meat part, but the 9 tenets are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he also does steroids.
It's not that he also does steroids. It's the fact he just lied constantly. And you're a subprimal if you believe that.
That's the negative part.
And that's where I think that little downfall is going to hit him a little bit harder. And I don't necessarily, again, when you're trying to plan out a whole marketing scheme, it's not always going to work out 100% of the time the way you think. And I think it was getting to a point, maybe he was being blackmailed or maybe something was going on and he had to have something come out. It's really hard when you're in the public eye to hide stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, he's at probably the peak. And I think he realized that he was probably at his peak. And he's like, okay, I need something for the next 2 to 3 years that I can go off of. Let's have the exposure. Let's go into my redemption phase. Look at Logan Paul. Now, I'm not saying Logan Paul was a marketing genius in the way he did things, but after his walk in the suicide forest and that video of him going to Japan suicide forest, he has completely, over the past 5 years, I think it's been since that video or something like that, he's completely marketing himself into somebody that I personally respect, when way before I couldn't give a shit about the man, nor did I like him.
As much as we love watching him fall, we love redemption. The comeback story is the big story, not the original story, right?
Yeah.
So if he can parlay this into better and show us that he can get past it and be a better man in our eyes, he's going to rise again just as stronger than before. So if that's the plan,
if that's
may
the
just
plan,
be conjecture.
Maybe we're wrong and he really just messed up, and
yeah,
you know, he's at home eating a
but even then
tub of ice
he can
cream
come out
right
of
now.
it.
Of course, 100%. But I do think to a certain degree, this man may have actually had some sort of plan, and his downfall is almost his own downfall. Because I really don't think, like, you get to that point, you are not falling to rock bottom over, yeah, this guy took steroids.
Yeah.
Shit, OJ, you killed a man. You killed your wife or girlfriend or whatever. You had a police chase. You know, how long did, and he never had his redemption, and how long has he stayed relevant for?
Yeah.
You know, all the way to like the mid 2010s, based on all this other stuff he was doing.
Well, Mr. Smith is still trying to get out of his own problem.
Yeah.
You know, and if he does, he will rise again.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to go Hollywood, but any kind of loss and redemption is going to do well because we want to see it.
Yeah. So maybe there was some chess being played. Maybe there wasn't.
What do you think, people?
Yeah, honestly, this is all speculation at this point. I mean, I do think if it wasn't the marketing, maybe there was some blackmail going on. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know, the guy has $100 million businesses. Did he do something that pissed off his coach? And it's like, you know what? This is the end of the line here.
Yeah.
You know, I've had one or two clients over my years of training that they just got to the point where they're like, hey, you know, you really are pissing me off with the way you're treating me as your coach. I don't want to work with you anymore. But obviously when you're at that level, it's like, I don't want to work with you anymore. It's like, okay, well, you still can't leak my stuff, which no good coach obviously will. But I feel like maybe something went down that Steve, if he was the coach or whoever this coach was like, I don't want to work with you anymore based on a certain thing. And it's just, you know, I'm over you as a person. I think you're actually maybe a shitty person. I want to expose you. Maybe there was some little, you know, playground games going on of he said, she said.
No, that's it. You never know. I mean, I've had clients who I have felt it was time to terminate the relationship, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Who came back pretty strong and heavy with the insults and their anger at being let go.
Yeah.
You know, and so maybe that's what happened. He wanted to stop. He started to give too much repercussions. So he said, okay, here, I'm just going to ship these emails over here.
Well, and it's also like any good coach would look at somebody like that, the plan he has, the workouts he's doing, the amount of gear he's taking, and be like, hey, man, healthy? Not really. Is this the best thing for your lifestyle or your gains even?
Nowhere near healthy.
Nowhere near healthy. Is this even the best thing for your gains? No. And we talked about that in the last video. We were saying you can't, he would have been doing less and probably growing more or staying the same or losing more body fat if he had just like stopped overtraining, chilled out, worked on his sleep habits, all the things he talks about.
Yeah. Well, that's it. He knew there was an issue.
Yeah. And if you go to your
do anything about it because he couldn't, I can't work out less.
And I mean, how many clients have you come to you that's like, hey, I want to do this. I want to do this thing. And we're like, no, absolutely not. You can't even eat properly or diet properly or train properly or sleep properly. But then if you don't take them as a client, which I never end up doing, they go and they find somebody else that will listen to exactly what they want.
Yeah.
They'll do it. They'll ruin their body. They'll fuck up themselves. And then they come back to you like, I really messed up. So maybe that happened. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, I don't wish him badly.
No.
I hope he can come through this, clean up his act. If only cleaning up his act means use a little less gear, sleep a little bit more, and don't overtrain. You know, show us what that could be like.
Yeah. It's also just like, yeah, stop lying.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Easy.
They will bite you in the ass. Your lies will bite you in the ass. They have teeth.
And I mean, if it's been shown before, like telling the truth is probably going to get you farther based on what has been, again, Noel, Larry, who else? There's tons. There's tons of guys. Yeah, maybe it's not your target market and as generalized as a population or consumer market that you're going for, but they're probably a bit more dedicated to you versus just some random person. Oh, I know that Liver King guy. Yeah, he said he was natural, but he looks, he eats liver and it's but I know his name, but they're not a consumer.
I know his name, but I'm not going to be a consumer because I know I am never going to live that lifestyle.
Yeah, and that's it. He's like, you got to appeal to that person already.
Yeah.
And do what
When
Noel
you talk
did.
about going for your niche.
And he did. But he was blowing his niche into a more generalized population, which I totally get. Like if I'm looking at him and I'm saying this is his niche, men who want to take back their manhood almost, which is totally fine. I do believe at some point in the past couple of years, men have fallen victim to a lack of care for their own mental health and a lack of care of their own physical self because especially during COVID, we're sitting on our computers all day. Our fitness goes out the door and our mental health goes out the door. So it's like he hit the right niche and he found the way to make it he found the way to make it more appealing and more intense. Like he put his twist on it to make it crazy that people would listen to. And he had that. And the ones who actually follow him dedicated were really dedicated. But then he also just went generalized and it kind of got, I think for him, it blew up too fast. Which maybe is what he wanted. But again, what am I to say? Do I have 2 million followers? No.
No. Do you have $100 million company? Not yet.
Not yet.
All right.
That's all I got. So let us know, guys.
So
what do you think?
Until we get some more news.
Exactly. Yeah, this will be talked about for a while. Yeah. Let us know what you think, guys. If you have any comments or questions, you know where to reach us right below here. As always, stay safe.
Stay breezy.
Take care.